Welcome in to the Thursday show of our college basketball menagerie here, presented by sportsbookreview.com. We are the three-man weave. We are so happy to be talking hoops with our friends here. Guys, presented by our friends at SBR. We should show them some love first. We got to like the video, pretend you're a Duke defender slapping the floor on defense. That's what you've got to hit that button with. And then also subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. The NBA is starting up. They've got all kinds of football and football. So check out those other videos as well. Show them some love. But fellas, let's talk college basketball. We got a decent slate today. It's small, but there are some strong games. Before we get into it, Kai, I'm going to go to you first. Any takeaways from last night? Anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, Jim, if I can just overreact for a second. Please. So Duke is better without Jalen Johnson. They played pretty much how I expected them to play in the preseason. It was a refreshing Duke game that we've seen so far this year. Such an advantage. They can hit shots, and they did against Notre Dame to our disappointment yesterday. Also, very weird, guys, that Wendell Moore has become an afterthought on that team. Top 30 recruit is now buried on the bench. Matt, you're a Duke guy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Mr. Wendell, my guy, complete disaster this season. So it's tough to see. Speaking of disasters, my takeaway, Jim, Arizona State. I don't know what this team is. It's a complete shambles. They were without Marcus Bagley again last night. I think we're learning he is a
pickup squad.
It really is, right. I mean, I think Bobby Hurley just shows up and watches as a spectator. I'm not sure what he actually does with the clipboard. UTEP beat them by double digits last night. Obviously, when Arizona State shoots, I think they made 1 of 19 from 3. But even if they made 6 or 7, this game was still very close, and UTEP dominated it in the second half. There are major issues right now in Tempe, and I will have ASU on fade alert going forward.
Yeah, wow. I just laughed because John Mitchell in the chat says, is Wendell Moore point shaving? And honestly, yesterday, anytime he came on the court, I was like, the Irish have a chance, baby. Come on.
Yeah, Coach K caught on and sat him.
Yeah. But Matt, just related to that, the Pac-12, my takeaway, they're in trouble. They're 1-9 against the KenPom top 50 right now. The only win was UCLA over Marquette. The Stanford over Alabama and Oregon over Seton Hall ones just missed the top 50 cut. But I mean, that league, it doesn't look great for more than like 2 or 3 bids right now. It's not awesome. All right, let's get into the games though. We are going first to Kansas at Texas Tech, easily the headliner of our Thursday slate today. 2 top 10 teams in the Big 12. The Jayhawks heading on the road. Both defenses probably better than both offenses at this point, so you would maybe think under. But guys, I got a little tidbit for you. Since Chris Beard arrived at Texas Tech, the over in this matchup is 7-1, with most of them going over by a pretty decent margin. These teams seem to score against each other. The coaches kind of know how to set up the offense against the other's defense. Kyle, go to you first. Are you buying that trend, or are you leaning to a side here? What do you got?
Yeah, Jim, to your point, KenPom, #1 defense in the country is Texas Tech currently. #6 is Kansas. So 2 very, very good defensive teams. But guys, let's keep in mind, Texas Tech has only played 1 good team this year. That's Houston, and they were kind of destroyed. So I'm still kind of waiting to see how this Texas Tech team will react to a better team like Kansas. I totally think they're a good team. I think they're awesome this year. I love Chris Beard, one of my favorite coaches. But and here's a question for you too, and you guys might shake your head. Dare I say Texas Tech is a little bit small? Santos Silva plays bigger than the 6'7", but I think McCormick gets a couple cheap ones inside tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they were really small last year, and they got crushed on the boards. It was sort of an odd weakness. You'd think Texas Tech, you think physical, gritty, not going to be bullied around up front. Last year they were. This year they've been a little bit better, but I think your point stands, Kai. KU definitely has an edge up front. I was looking at the under just from an anecdotal perspective. It seems like both defenses are strong, KU especially underrated. But, Jim, I think you bring up the good point that historically it feels like there's so much juice in this matchup that I think it also helps inflate the tempo a little bit as well. I was looking at the under. I'm probably going to stay away. I see the line on the side climbing to 3.5, 4. I kind of know you're liking KU at 3.5.
Uh-oh, we lost Matt.
Froze. Wow.
Oh, boy. He's trying to set Kai up for a Kansas play there. I actually, seeing that it went to 3.5 made me think I should possibly be on Kansas, but the market has kind of kicked my butt the last 2 days when I bet against it. So
yeah,
I'm a little hesitant on that.
It is a small play for me at 3.5 though for Kansas.
Okay, Matt, if you can hear us, we hope you can fix yourself. We'll keep going without you. Instead, we'll just look at your
I like his frozen face.
Mouth agape face. Yeah. All right, Ky, let's move on to NC State at St. Louis, a team that is definitely near and dear to your heart as a St. Louis original resident. And honestly, this is a fun rematch of a tournament matchup from about 6 or 7 years ago when SLU was a 4 seed, NC State a 13 seed. And SLU had to come back from down 15 late in the final 4 minutes. It was a bananas game. It was the first year I ever went to Vegas for March Madness, and I went crazy for that game. It was wild. I was on SLU. I got a great win out of that one. But Ky, do we think NC State gets some revenge here against maybe the best team in the A10, or how are you feeling about the Bills on this Thursday?
Well, as you alluded to, Jim, I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and I am repping the SLU Billigans tonight.
We're back, folks. We are back. Don't worry. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We're all right. We're here. We had some technical difficulties. We are still going to talk NC State SLU. Matt is moving again. We're in okay shape. We recover. Matt, we were just talking about the Bills and how they.
Oh, my Bills?
Yeah, well, your sort
Not
of
really.
Bills.
My Bills.
Yeah. What do you think about the Bills hosting NC State here? I've got to lean in this one, but I'll go to you first.
SLU's one of those teams where we've been dying to bet on them. We identified they were awesome early on. I think 2 games in, we were like, oh, okay, SLU is the real deal. NC State, a team we've been waiting to sort of fade. We've kind of put them on fraud alert with their early efforts against low-tier competition. They've been off for a while now. I think this sets up for a perfect spot for SLU to run away with this one. So I love the Billikens at home. They're kind of approaching the peak of their value, right? I think they'll at some point maybe be a sell-high candidate, but right now I think it's a good time to ride the Billies.
Kyle, finish your thought that got cut off.
Yeah, St. Louis, let's go. Odds makers were slow to realize this game was scheduled. To their credit, it was announced pretty late, but I know we were sweating like, put up the game. We want to bet on SLU. I love SLU here. NC State, Matt, you kind of said they blew out 3 bad teams, and they haven't played in 14 days. A COVID shutdown, and you can get away with that against certain competition, but not against SLU. This team is firing on all cylinders. Javonte Perkins, guys, remember the name. He is an A10 Player of the Year candidate. He might be the front runner for my money, Trey Mitchell at UMass aside. But this team is awesome. I think it's -4 currently. Got up to 4.5, opened at 3.5. So I like SLU tonight. If it's 4, I'll take it for the show.
Yeah, I can't take it at 4.5, and that is what I'm seeing. So I guess I'll back off. But yeah, so NC State hasn't played a top 200 team yet. And like you said, coming off that long layover, it's a huge step up in class. SLU is 5-0 against the spread, covering by an average of 8.2 points a game. It's Bills or nothing for me here. All right, let's move on. Seton Hall headed on the road to Marquette. Got a Big East battle. I sort of just initially wanted to take Seton Hall on the road here. I thought we'd get like 5 points with Marquette coming off that big win at Creighton, but it's more 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. It hasn't hit the 5 that I'd love to see. So I'm probably kind of staying away. Ky, are you buying the Marquette renaissance after that big Creighton road win, or are you sitting back more with the Pirates in this one?
Yeah, it was a huge win. Dawson Garcia, guys, the real deal. One of the best freshmen in the country this year. He dominated the glass against Creighton, and they were without Samir Torrance. And DJ Carton had a field day becoming the guy at point guard for them. That's very encouraging going forward for Marquette. I think 4 is just a little bit too much. Seton Hall led wire to wire against St. John's. The Storm never got a lead against them. Mamu exploded in that game. I think he'll be hard to contain, even though Marquette is such a good defensive squad. If you're a Hall backer, you're worried about paint defense on the other end. I just think 4 is a tad high. So I am #small on Hall tonight.
That'll be trending. Like that'll be trending, I'm sure, in about a half hour. I want to take Hall with my boy Ky as well. Ky, I'm with you. I think the number's a little bit inflated. If it gets to 5, I will be pouncing on it. I think Sandro is such a mismatch nightmare, even for a great front line that Marquette has, because he can score inside and out. They can kind of drag Theo John away from the hoop if they put Theo on him. I think he's too big for Dawson Garcia, the young freshman. If they put Garcia on him. So I think it's a tough matchup for Marquette, even as good as that front line is. However, I think the Marquette backcourt has really clicked. They figure something out playing Kobe McKeon, Ky's long-lost brother, and DJ Carton together. Just seeing them operate in tandem against Creighton was like, oh, wow, if they figure this out, they could actually be, they could be climbing up the Big East ladder. So I will stay away unless it hits 5.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Stay away unless it hits 5. Carton's averaging 19, 5, and 4.5 over the last 2 games with no Samir Torrance. I think it's just good for him to know that he's the guy. He doesn't have somebody nipping at his heels for minutes. It's just been a little more freeing for him. But, under also lean there, but not quite a play for me. No surprise to anyone, I'm sure. Let's stay in the Big East.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We're the trolls under the bridge. Let's stay in the Big East. The other side of that big Marquette win over Creighton, the Blue Jays. Creighton headed on the road to St. John's, headed out to New York. 2 0-1 teams in the Big East right now, or winless in the Big East teams. Matt, you've been the jumpin' Johnny of our crew. You were on them.
I know why.
Okay, you were on them against Seton Hall. Yeah. Are you going to take them today as a home dog against a angry Blue Jays squad off the loss?
Begrudgingly, yes, Jim. I will be. I made this number 3 to 4. I see it's ballooned up to 7. It could be a terrible matchup where Creighton's very cerebral backcourt just, carves up the pressure that St. John's will throw at you, and this could be a bloodbath early. But St. John's, man, these game-to-game or these in-game swings are so volatile. I think they come out with energy tonight. Jim, you've talked about this before. If you can predict when St. John's going to be locked in and bring the juice, they're usually a tough home dog, and I think tonight's one of those spots. The question is, can Mike Anderson figure out this offense? St. John's really doesn't have an identity yet on offense. It's kind of my turn, your turn. And for that reason, I think the under actually has some value. But again, I'm going to probably not play it because I just have this vision of pinball going up and down the floor on both sides.
Yeah, it's a sky-high total.
Right.
158.5 right now, 159.
Ky, where are you at here?
Well, honest question, can St. John's stop Creighton from scoring? I think the answer is absolutely not. Nope. And on the other end, the Johnnies need to force turnovers to get into their transition game. And Zagorowski and company, they're not turning that rock over. They're the 9th best team in the country when it comes to turnover rate. And here's a stat for you. Creighton scored 1.25 points per possession against Marquette. What are they going to do against this St. John's defense? I think St. John's is in trouble in this game. I believe the spread is high for a reason. So I actually lean towards Creighton. But, Matt, I wish you all the best luck in your St. John's bets.
I'll need it.
We are a team.
I will need it. Yeah, thank you.
I would have taken St. John's here if Creighton had won against Marquette. I would feel a little better about it. St. John's 0-2 in the Big East against this 1-0 team waltzing in. But that off the loss, I just can't do it. Even up to 7.5, my number's kind of saying, Jim, what are you doing? But again, I don't want to step in against the market. I think the market's probably right here on a Creighton runaway. All right, let's take a quick chat break, boys. Let's peek into the youtube.com/SBR Sports chat. Matt, do we have any games to discuss here?
Yeah, we got a few. Cody Ashworth wants us to talk about North Dakota versus SIU Carbondale. I believe two of us have a strong.
Not yet.
It's all right. Coming up. Get away for that.
Yep.
We will come back to you, Cody. Ryan Dearden, Coastal Carolina versus Delaware State on the extra board. I believe we have a consensus weave take here. Jim, do you want to reveal that or do you want to save that for the end?
We can reveal it now. Chanticleers, baby. I think you got to ride with them. Delaware State is bad and coming out of quarantine, and that has fared very, very poorly for teams so far. So
Coastal.
Yikes. And they play fast too, so I think the possession count will get high quickly, and you'll be able to cover those points. Ryan Bromwitz wants to talk about. North Dakota SIU is coming up. There's one more.
LMU Irvine is also coming up.
St. Joe's Drexel was the other one I think was mentioned. I forget who.
It's on the rundown.
That.
Yeah.
Then we will wait. We'll come back to those later.
I got one actually.
Okay.
I saw one earlier from Patricia. Matt, I think you were frozen. And actually, Mary Lou asked about this too. North Texas, Houston Baptist. Patricia asked about the over. I see no reason to stop taking Houston Baptist overs. I'm not on it myself, but I mean, it's gone over like what, every single game dating back to the beginning of last season.
Yeah, North Texas really wants to play slow. Like that's kind of their style. But if you're playing a team as bad defensively as Houston Baptist,
right,
you're gonna shoot within 10 seconds because you get a layup every time. Like you can't help it. So I would lean towards over there as well.
Usually in those type of like when Virginia plays a terrible but really fast team, the tempo typically plays a little bit faster. North Texas went 83 possessions with Mississippi Valley State in the opener. They went 71.
That's a great comparison, I think.
So I think the order is actually a really good play.
All right, fellas. Anything else, or should we hit the next game in the outline?
Let's go back to the outline. I think we're running out of options for tonight's tiny slate.
Yeah, we're going to try to discuss every game. We like to do that on the small slates. San Francisco headed to Oregon. This was a late add to the schedule. The Dons taking on the Ducks. San Francisco was supposed to be playing USC today or yesterday, I think, but unfortunately a COVID case in the Trojans program led to this one. Kai, tell me where you're at here. We have typically been big fans of the Dons on this show. Are you backing them here?
Yeah, Don's coming off a tough loss to Cal. They led the entire game. Cal's only lead was at the buzzer against that game, or in that game. That's tough luck for San Fran. And then Oregon snuck past Washington their last game, guys, who we basically decided now the Huskies are a terrible basketball team. Washington's no good. Lost to Montana last night. Figueroa, the St. John's transfer for Oregon, he's still rounding into form, it seems like. I think he'll be very good January, February, March, but it seems like he's still kind of learning the offense a little bit, learning the sets. Omaruri's been a beast, though, for Oregon. Yeah. I think there's a reason, or there's no reason the Dons can't keep this one close. Honestly, I think they'll be able to shoot in this one. I think they'll be able to score on the Ducks. The question for them is going to be foul trouble on the other end in the paint, especially. I actually like the under. That's the play I prefer in this game. I'll be taking the under. I believe it's 144, 143. I'm seeing enough 144s.
144s, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Under
144 for me in this game.
I like the unders. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I think the unders the great play. It's the right side. Todd Golden with those electric guards that he has there in San Francisco, they're at their best. They can get up and down and fly and let those guys, really unleash those dudes out in the open floor, let them make plays with their, havoc defensively. But against a better team, a more talented team, Golden's too smart. He doesn't want to get into a high possession affair with the objectively more talented team. I think Virginia, he was willing to play at a slower pace. I think you see a little bit of a slower pace tonight. I think that bodes well for the under.
Yeah, one thing to watch, Oregon should get Aaron Estrada eligible, adds another ball handler, but it might take him another game or two to make an impact. One of the transfers that received the blanket waiver from the NCAA yesterday. I actually like the Dons. I'm seeing enough 7.5s across the board that I'm going to take the Dons plus 7.5. I think they'll hang around. They'll make this one close. They've got a shot at winning here. So I will ride with San Francisco. All right, next game on the slate. A Philly matchup. This is not technically a Big Five matchup because Drexel's not included, but St. Joseph's
or Drexel
headed over to Drexel. That's right. We've got another team similar to NC State here. The Hawks have been out of commission for quite a while due to COVID concerns. Meanwhile, Drexel just played LaSalle on Saturday, so they are pretty well tuned up for this one. Matt, does that make you lean all the way towards the home team here? They have been bet a little bit per the numbers. I opened 1.5, and I'm seeing 2.5 now. So people are leaning that way. It's just hard to back these teams coming out of the shutdown.
Right. To me, the line is reflective of some sort of discount applied against St. Joe's for that COVID shutdown. If you think St. Joe's comes out of the chute looking like a well-oiled machine, then they're the right side. I think the wrong team's favored. But we've seen enough of these spots play poorly for teams that have had long layoffs. So I'm going to stay away. There's basically no home court here. And St. Joe looked pretty good to start the year in those first two games. Defensively, we know they're a little bit of work in progress, but they can score. Kai, where are you at here?
Let Drexel into the Philly 5 club. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Make it the Philly 6. Poor Drexel, always odd man out. This year especially, right? Penn's not playing basketball this year. Let him in.
Yeah, little stand-in. I like that.
St. Joe's no juggernaut. They did hang tough with Auburn, and that 20-day layoff has me worried about them. So I lean Drexel in this game. They're not as good as I was expecting preseason. There's certainly a limit onto how well they can play, but they have a talented roster. So I do lean them with a small spread like this in a game where St. Joe's should be kind of sluggish coming out.
Yep, I'm definitely a Drexel lean here. Phil Shepard asked if this is at the Palestra. Unfortunately not. This is at Drexel. We want every game to be at the Palestra, but unfortunately not this one. Mostly a Drexel lean. Just tread lightly with these teams coming out of quarantine until we see a little more about how they play. Even if they've already played earlier this season, it's tough to trust them. All right, guys, let's head to the biggest new rivalry in Division I.
Yes.
Dixie State heading on the road to Southern Utah. You got to throw out the records when these two teams meet. They are less than an hour apart down here.
The I-15 rivalry, baby. The I-15 rivalry.
Man, the Trailblazers versus the Thunderbirds. It doesn't get any better than this in college hoops.
No, sir.
Kai, I know you and Matt might be at odds on the total here. I'm going to set you up for that. Yeah. Where you stand?
First of all, kudos to our production team for finding the Dixie State logo. That's fantastic.
Oh man, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Battle of Southern Utah, Jim. Man, what a treat tonight. I think the Blazers struggle to score here. Frankly, they can't force turnovers. We alluded earlier to St. John's needing to force turnovers to start their offense. Dixie State's sort of the same way. Southern Utah is very strong with the ball. John Knight III, Utah State transfer, has been excellent for them this year. And then I think the Blazers struggle to score inside against a bigger, burlier, more athletic team like Southern Utah. The spread's right around where I'd have it, somewhere around 10 right now. But the under 8 is down to 8.5. Is it really?
Yes, Kai.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
Man, might lean towards the Thunderbirds there.
That's my fault. I got the Dixie Chicks at 10. So Kai, you can blame me.
I'm staying away for that one. But the under is my play, Jim. Dixie State's been playing fast. Matt, tell me why I'm wrong, man. Come on.
Well, you're wrong for a myriad of reasons, but I'll just hit the key ones here. Southern Utah, there are only 2 games this year that have been slow, where the back-to-back, not back-to-back, but doubleheader, well, not double, whatever, 2 games in 3 days with Montana in conference. And we've seen historically conference games, especially in the Big Sky, especially featuring Montana recently, play much slower. Southern Utah's other 3 games, 74 possessions and 73 possessions against Utah Valley. There's a D2 game they played to mid-70s as well. This team wants to run. And I think out of conference, Todd Simon's looking to tune up that pressure that he talked about this offseason a little bit with all the talent and length that he has. I think this game plays very high, up and down. Dixie State wants to run as well. They're now healthy. The over is the play here, folks. Trust me. Don't trust Kai.
Matt, so here's my thing on Dixie State. They played 73 possessions against North Dakota, but it was an opener, and there were a ton of possessions in the second half. First half played slow.
Right. Yep.
And then Denver just doesn't play basketball. They're just running up and down with their heads cut off. So I have a hard time taking that as like their two reads on their tempo. I still think they might play a little slower. One thing I love here is the coaching matchup. I think Judkins is excellent at Dixie State. Everything I've read about him, he's a savvy dude. He's been there forever. And I'm not a big Todd Simon guy at Southern Utah. I maybe there's some disagreement on that, but I kind of resist. I'm not a huge fan of a guy that came from Findlay Prep and seems more of a assembler of talent than a super great coach on the court. But we'll see. Dixie lean for sure. All right, guys, let's get into best bets before we go back to the chat. Let's start with Matthew. What are you leaning towards? What is your best bet tonight?
Jim, this has been a tough one for me. Been wrangling with a few different options here. I will ultimately go with UC Irvine and another close your eyes bet. The Anteaters have been poor, to put it kindly, so far this year. Very uncharacteristic for a program that's just been a copy-paste solid team for what feels like a decade under Russell Turner. This year they have a whole new backcourt. It's been choppy to start. He talked about how they've just been really young. The youth has really shown through in their defensive disjointedness. I think you did a classic get-right spot here. They've been off for a week. I would hope Turner's been working, behind the scenes with these young dudes. I just think it's a good spot here, and you're getting good value against, LMU, a talented team, but Irvine as a dog against LMU. I'll take that every time.
Yeah, that's my lean too, Matt. I'm so scared. Irvine's been pretty bad so far this season, but it's tough not to back the Russell Turner squad there. Kai, let's go to you. What is your best bet of this fine Thursday?
We're going to Wyoming, guys.
Where?
Minus 10.5, I believe, is where the current spread is.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm taking it. Absolutely brutal spot for Omaha. Coming off a crushing loss to Colorado. 2 days ago, just 2 days.
No, last night.
Excuse me, last night. Wow, I get my days mixed up. Even worse, Jim.
Yes.
The altitude trip here, and they were without Marco Smith and Zach Thornhill, two of their starters. Wyoming hasn't been stellar by any means, especially defensively, but man, they can score. Marcus Williams, their freshman point guard, is excellent. He leads the team in scoring. Fellow guard Hunter Maldonado has been excellent too. Omaha plays fast, and the Cowboys don't mind doing that too, so it's going to be plenty of possessions in this game for Wyoming to extend the lead. I love the Cowboys tonight.
Yeah, it's been bet just up out of my range here, but I can't imagine backing Omaha in a back-to-back, add altitude, down players, a team that's been blown out by several better teams so far, including Creighton, Kansas, and Colorado. So yeah, Kai, I think that's probably the right side. I like where your head's at.
Wyoming also a little undervalued, I'd argue. Two of their key guys were out the first two games. They just got them back, and they've looked very, very strong since they've returned. So, and we love the coach. One of our favorite coaches for sure.
Yep, Jeff Linder. He plays the math game. All threes.
Data raid.
Yep.
Data raid,
right.
baby.
All right, my pick for tonight. I hinted at it earlier when someone brought up the Southern Illinois North Dakota game. I am on the under. It will come as no shock to anybody. This is an early tip. It's teams that mostly want to play slowly here. It's the first game of a back-to-back between the two, so that maybe this one plays up a little faster, but I like the fact that it's an early tip and two defensive squads that I think prefer to slow it down and play in the half court. And North Dakota might still have no Deshaun Allen Ikens, DAE, the second best player, probably their most versatile scorer as a wing. He's been beat up with an ankle injury. He might not play. So I will take the under there. I had 135.5 written down. I will double check that right now. 135. I will lock it in at 135.
Jim, I have no thoughts on that. I'll be honest.
Oh,
Kai,
well,
where are you at?
No thoughts. I support both of you. You're my brothers.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
So cute.
Okay. Hey, guys, let's get back to the chat. Any other games we need to hit? I mean, obviously there aren't many tonight, but Matt, anything on the agenda? And maybe I'll ask Kai because Matt's freezing over there. Who knows if he's got this covered?
I got it. I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
Take it, Matt. Take it.
Ethan Rise asking about one of the two NEC back-to-backs today. Let's just hit these in tandem here. First off, LIU, Sacred Heart. I know both of you were LIU Long Island backers yesterday. Are you going back to the well after a very strong second half, which they ran away from the Pioneers?
I'm not. Yeah, they had a 25-1 run late, and I think maybe that score is a little bit of an aberration. Sacred Heart was up, I think, with like 8 minutes left or 8 or 10 minutes left. I would probably lean towards Sacred Heart, home dog, bounce back spot.
Bounce back spot, yep.
Yeah.
I think, so in that same vein, Wagner, Bryant, the game played to about what I'd say the number was between 5 and 12 most of the way.
Yeah, around 9 or 10, I think is. Yeah.
Bryant squeaked outside the number to cover. I think Wagner's a good bounce back bet here as a dog that again will, Bryant wants to run as fast as they can. They're going to run at their will, but I think Wagner can kind of slow it down enough, and I think they might have some value here. Kai, are you going to back the Seahawks again?
Yeah, hesitantly, because we were on them last night. They obviously didn't cover. I think they covered a lot of the game. I mean, I think it was a good bet still. The spread's pretty low. I mean, the spread's gotten down to 8 now, so you have to be pretty confident.
Ooh.
I think Wagner's not a bad team this year. They certainly are a lot better than they showed last season. Pretty well coached, so I do think they bounce back and cover tonight.
Yeah, I'm back to the Wagner well, but I may be getting tossed down the well. We'll see how it works out.
I thought Wagner competed well at Seton Hall for the first 16 minutes. It was kind of a blowout after that, but that was a fairly impressive stretch. I think they have some competence. Sean P asking about Jackson State, not Jacksonville State, although Jacksonville State's always in our hearts with the work they do. But Kyle, I'll go to you for this one. Bradley, a team I love defensively, rock solid. You could argue they're one of the nation's best among the mid-major landscape. Jackson State, Wayne Brennan, another team that hangs its hat on the defensive end. Does this feel like an underside to you, or are you looking at another type of play?
I got nothing in this game, actually, Matt. I do lean the under. I do lean Bradley. Jackson State is kind of notorious for hanging around in the first half, and then something happens in the second half. They just the wheels fall off, yeah. and the big favorites tend to cover. So
they get forked. They get forked.
Yeah, right. The lines go this way, and then there's a fork.
Yep.
So I'm leaning towards Bradley in this one, but nothing strong for me.
Jackson State is 0-3 against the number, not covering by an average of 10 a game. They've been blown out by superior competition. They've kind of been on a world tour. I would have to lean Bradley here.
Yep. I think that is every game.
Good for us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good
job.
for Chat Mob covering every
Well
game.
done, Chat
Love
Mob.
that. Yeah.
Kai Jim, nice job there, both. You had really nice takes.
I'll pat on the head to you. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Before we get out of here, make sure everybody heads to sbrpicks.com/NCAAB. All the way up on the top of that. Head over to that. That's lots of picks, lots of information there. SBR packs it into the website. Shout out to them. Follow them on Twitter at SBR Sports Picks. Follow us on Twitter at 3MW_CBB. We will have our picks up there later today. And then like and subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. All kinds of videos, every sport. They're all over it. We appreciate them. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we will catch you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. See you then.